All right. It's kind of nice not having Ron whistling. It hurts my ears. Oh my goodness, we have a good show tonight. Yes, we do. We've got two guests with us. We've got a friend of the show, OG. It's kind of the point where I don't even remember how many times you've been here. So that's cool. Larry Roberts is with us, everybody.
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
And Michael Speeden, what's up?
What's up, guys?
And Marcy.
Michael.
Don't forget me.
I was introducing our guest. You're like a regular now.
I'm just a regular.
You're just a regular. So you don't,
I don't care.
You're special, but that we got to intro the guest. So Michael, this is your first time on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to get to let you introduce yourself in a second, but we got to kick off with the theme song. I know you're ready to do it. So take it away.
Here's the story of some lovely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
All right, Larry.
Oh, wow. They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff runs Silent Bob. And, well, there's Marcy. They call it Crossing the Streams. Or just Crossing Streams. There's no D.
Justin Timberlake said, drop the.
Drop the
Go ahead, Marcy.
And then one day they went live on all platforms. You could hear them. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams.
We cross the streams. We cross the streams.
That's
the way we do it.
We cross the streams.
We cross the streams.
Oh, that was horrible.
Bum.
That was horrible. All right, let's. Hello, Lee. What's up, Lee?
Hi, Lee.
What up,
What's
Lee?
Up, Jerry? How are you, sir?
Jerry's always here. Every time I've been here, Jerry's been in the comments. That's awesome.
Jerry, Lee, Carmen. We have a bunch of Aaron usually shows up.
Is Aaron? I am actually invited a few guests. I have a feeling we're going to see some surprises.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it's good times. All right, first time on the show. Michael, tell us a little bit about your podcast, your DJ gig.
Well, I've been the host of the Foul Players Radio podcast now for since 2018, and I'm 2 episodes away from number 300 coming out. I'm proud of that. Stuck it out through a lot of for a good while now, 5 years, and so that's on my regular website, foulplayersradio.com. Also have a YouTube channel, and you'll see it on there. And I just got a job. 97underground.com is a Baltimore-based. It used to be a terrestrial radio station. Now it's strictly online. They call it, pure rock. It started out, hard rock, heavy metal, classic rock. Started out in 1982, and it actually began at Dundalk High School, which is a suburb of Baltimore, as the high school radio station where they would play the morning announcements. They would play music during lunch. Baltimore County Schools actually ended up getting a tower. They ended up launching 97 Underground over the air. It was on Friday night through Monday morning, and they were the first radio station to commercially play Metallica, Guns N' Roses. After a while, they ended up becoming bigger and bigger because they were playing the music that commercial radio would not. They were playing the heavier, Metallica, Slayer, anything, heavy metal that the commercial stations wouldn't touch.
I hope you're getting paid for this commercial.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just the history of it. I think it is an interesting history, Maybe you don't. I don't know.
No, I love it. I love it. So, I know Michael a long time, and I'm really excited for you. Congrats on getting a job at a former.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on getting a job at a former high school radio station.
Yep. Well, they came back as a .com, and they're actually worldwide, a pretty heavy following. So. That was the origin through now. You
have a great voice. I can imagine listening to you on the radio.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
let's see,
appreciate that.
Jerry.
Hang on.
I don't know. Larry, tell everyone about the podcast you have that you haven't invited me on yet.
Well, we're getting there, Jeff. It's a brand new podcast, so we're just getting our legs underneath us. But I mean, you know, I've been in the podcast game since 2014. Recently launched a new show called Branded, where it's all about building personal and professional brands. We take a look at it from a variety of different perspectives, but we focus primarily on building better brands through podcasts. So it helps support Red Hat Media, where we launch branded podcasts. So that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for quite some time now. Left my corporate gig January of 2021 to do podcasting, content creation, and public speaking full time. So pretty cool.
That is awesome. And
Awesome.
Marcy,
Yeah, you sound good.
And Marcy, what are the current mortgage rates that we can get?
Rates are so low. So low. They're not even at 8 yet. How great is that?
Someone tried to convince me.
And I heard someone just put their house on the market somewhere in Nebraska.
This is amazing. All right. Great
question.
This is good stuff. All right. So, Michael, quick question. So is 97 Underground anywhere, or you listen to it from the website?
You listen to it from the website. It was a terrestrial radio station that actually it did grow over the years and became very popular in Maryland. And it is now just online, 97underground.com.
Okay, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then does it have an app as well, or do you have to? Okay.
It does. Yeah, you can get it on your phone. You can get it on your laptop. I believe it's also available like on Hulu and a number of streaming platforms as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Thanks.
Dude.
Yeah. And we do sponsor concerts and things like that coming to town and that sort of thing as well. So yeah. Well, thank you, Lee.
It is
spelled
Lee.
L-I. Thank you, Lee.
Say hi to Michael Stapleton.
Hi, Michael Stapleton.
Let's stream talk.
Yeah.
Oh my.
He might be one of my guests.
Oh, I see what he did there with the whole stream thing. Yeah.
It's well played.
Now, does he keep a coffee can by his chair? Or is he actually going to get up and leave the room to do that?
No, he's in for the long haul. He's here for the whole 13 hours.
There we go.
Real quick. I mean, not that anyone brought it up, but my birthday was the other day. But today is Larry Roberts' birthday.
Happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday.
Say happy birthday, Larry. Thanks for spending your birthday with us.
I know. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go hang out on a podcast for my birthday. She's like, man, you are old as shit. So I was like, yeah.
You're so in.
That was it.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm sure I said happy birthday on Facebook.
I think you did. And then here's the Facebook trick. You let the natural Facebook all go and go and go. And then you do the obligatory post. Thanks for all the birthday posts, right? Which is just fly trap to get everyone else. It's just a recycling. Go, oh my God, I almost met happy birthday. Happy birthday.
True.
It's the kind of the 1-2 Facebook punch on your birthday. So.
Yeah, but somebody as popular as you, Jeff, you probably can't. You don't have the time to go and individually respond to everyone saying happy birthday.
No, he thanked me.
Yeah.
I let them all come in, and then I went to thank everyone.
You hired an assistant.
No, I wish I should have. If you look, I even customized it. If someone wrote HBD, I just wrote TY. So you could tell it was me. I wasn't just phoning it in. I was, at one point, Facebook shut me down because I posted the image because they said it was violating community standards.
Wait, what was the image? I saw that you were down for an hour. They put you in your corner for an hour.
Yeah, they put me in a corner for an hour for thanking everyone for on all the birthday posts that they kindly organized. You know how they organize your birthday posts for you?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you have computers running the show.
and there's no one to call and no one to get an answer from or no one to correct it. It's just, you just have to wait it out.
Right. And I was like, all right, now how am I going to figure out where I was?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's the host of the world's greatest Springsteen podcast, Aaron
He-
Cozen. What's
he's
up?
Is this a
actually got-
rerun?
He's being silly, but he's got some big news on his podcast.
Oh, does he have Bruce Springsteen on his podcast?
I think he kind of thinks he does, to be honest with you. I think he
Oh.
thinks that Bruce is reading his stuff, which could be true.
That's the first sign of cuckoo. No, it's good. Oh, and my goodness.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Bob Barker. Bob Barker passed away.
Oh, I know, man.
That's a shame.
So the funniest thing about him passing away.
Don't say it. No, no.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it because everyone else said it. I'm not saying it like I said. But everyone posted. Everyone. Yeah. I didn't because I wouldn't have got that reference.
I posted it.
Everyone was like, oh, he died at 99. Is close to 100 without going over.
I did.
Yeah. On Twitter, I just posted, oh, I'm shocked that without going over wasn't trending by itself. But it was a funny, but okay. Forget the Adam Sandler Happy Gilmore, which he was hilarious in.
Yes.
You know, like when someone passed, like when Paul Rubens passed away on your feed, it was like every other one was like some magic clip of him from some point in his career.
Like, who didn't masturbate in a movie theater?
Right. I mean,
like, everybody's done it at least once.
At least he did it in a movie. At least he did it in a private. I mean, think about like how that was such an issue back then. It'd be like, now be like, who the fuck cares? And is
it really that common now? I mean, I haven't been on it in a while.
It's not that it's not common, but when you think of the decency of him doing it in a private theater that was showing porn, I mean, it wasn't like he was in an AMC during a showing of Frozen.
He was like, that Little Mermaid sure is adorable.
Yeah, he was in a private porn theater. Right. I'm not saying I'm condoning it or anything, but it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, but there's if you can't find the clip, Google or look on TikTok, Paul Rubens, ring a bell, or it's like it's a joke he tells about a man with no arms that gets a job ringing a bell.
Wow, I've never
it's
heard
one of
that.
those where it's like it's really funny. And anyway, so Bob Barker dies, and Happy Gilmore is hilarious, but they did another clip when he was like 91 of when he's in the hospital and Adam Sandler visits him in the hospital.
Oh, did they do it for an Oscar show or something?
I think it was like for an Alzheimer's or something like benefit they were doing, but it's like a 5-minute skit. Bob Barker was legit hilarious. Like hilarious. I think I put it on my Twitter. I'll
Are you
find
still on Twitter? Are you on? Is it X now? Can you even call it Twitter?
I don't even. I'm not calling it X.
It's so confusing. You
It's
still
right.
tweet,
I don't even know
though.
what to do. I
You
keep
still
thinking
tweet.
Bloomingdale's is having a sale, and it's my Twitter.
I just got
It's like
on Blue Sky today.
What is
and I
that?
grabbed one of my tweets from 2013, which was one of my big tweets. It was one of my big tweets.
That's
All
that I'd ever
140
written. It was one of-
characters, or
No, it was one of my big viral tweets. It was my most stolen tweet ever.
okay.
It was I bought the wrong kind of compass. Now I'm lost in the middle of nowhere drawing perfect circles. And
What is this new app though? I mean,
it's Blue Sky. It's the one the old CEO of Twitter made. I can't remember.
So now we have.
Jack Dorsey or whatever his name was.
It's been around for a while, but you have to get like a permission to get on and stuff. So
I'm never gonna get that.
So if I drop your name, can I get on there, or is that what
your
it
brother
takes, or-
went there.
No, he thinks he wrote that joke. I shared his joke. I actually thought he was the one that came.
Everyone
up with the
on the internet literally
was
wrote that
first.
joke.
Aaron, I know you were first.
I'm sure he was.
My brother.
Aaron, I'd rather it be Aaron. And then some stranger.
He
All
said
right.
it before he died.
Bob
then,
did?
Then yeah, I'm going to go. I'm fine with
Right
that.
before he died.
All right, let's talk about the show. So last week we covered Silo, the YouTube effect, Predestination, and I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So check that out. We have this is our 125th
125.
episode.
Wow.
So we have 125 hours streaming on YouTube of great TV suggestions and a few ones to watch out for, but mostly great ones. You figure there's at least 4 or 5 in each episode. Boom. There you go. Amazing. So this week, though, we're talking Sex in the City, Ahsoka, G.I. No spoilers, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and we have one of the stars of Gotham with us, Michael, who's going to talk about Gotham. How's that? That's pretty
Love
great. That's pretty
Gotham. It's
crazy.
one of my
Dude,
favorites.
that's kinda cool.
I didn't know you were in Gotham.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was, as a matter of fact. I was in well, I'll tell you the story here, and I hope I don't bore you to death, but I auditioned for that, obviously to get the part. It was the last season, and it was actually the last episode filmed and the third to last to air. And I went up there and auditioned for it. It was season 5, episode 8. Nothing Shocking is the title of the episode. And I played one of the Penguins' henchmen, one of Oswald's. They don't call him they only call him the Penguin like once on the show. I played one of his henchmen called Dale. And I was killed by Mr. Penn. Mr. Penn, actually how I got to do this part was Andrew Sellon, who played Mr. Penn throughout the show, actually went to the writers, towards the end and said, nobody's done anything with the ventriloquist yet. And the ventriloquist was a later character, from what I understand. The ventriloquist came in like in one of the cartoons or something. It wasn't like one of the original from like 1940 villains. And so Andrew actually is a ventriloquist, and he lobbied to get this, part put in the show. So I was there as Oswald's bodyguard. So when I went to audition for this, I auditioned for 2 parts. One was the part that I got, Dale, where I just had to play a big dumb guy. I had no lines, but I had to make dumb faces, which I was obviously good at. They must have liked it. And the other one, there was a monster down in a tunnel that Bruce and Alfred confronted.
Yeah,
and
the hospital.
Yeah, I auditioned for that part too. I was glad I got Dale, because in that one you only kind of saw a blur of the guy. But I had 2 auditions that day. One was make the dumb faces, and the other one was to growl and act like the Tasmanian devil. So I ended up getting that part. So I get out there to the filming. It was filmed in Brooklyn, New York, Steiner Studios, where they filmed Mrs. Maisel there. It's it's one of the biggest studios on the East Coast. It's like it's like a super Walmart, but 10 stories high. It's just absolutely huge. And so I get there and stayed at a hotel nearby. The hotel looked like it was in the middle of the set of the opening credits of Welcome Back, Kotter. It had the subway up on the raised bridge going by, the markets outside and everything. And then there was a La Quinta Inn that I stayed in. And I was at lower level. I could look out, like the window was like, right at ground level, and I could see rats the size of German shepherds running around near my truck. And I'm like, wonderful. Okay. So get up the next morning and I go in, get to the set early. I couldn't sleep that night. I had like 3 alarms with me. I kept waking up thinking I was late, and all of a sudden, I just, but so finally I was up and I was like, screw it, I'm up. I'm just going to go down to the studio and wait. So I got there and I, got walked up to my room, and Andrew Sellon was there, Mr. Penn. I was like, I was in my dressing room kind of looking around, and I hear, knock, knock, knock. And I hear knock, 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 and I look over and I'm like, holy crap, it's Mr. Penn. And he was very nice. I mean, he was like, hey, welcome to the family. Gotham, they considered themselves a family, the cast did. And I spoke to him for a little bit, and then they came and brought my clothes in on a big rack and gave me some breakfast. Then I had to go down to hair, and I look in the hair and makeup room, and there's Robin Lord Taylor. And I was like, wow, okay. And he was really cool too. Very, very nice. He kind of waved to me and said hello. And as I was sitting down, he was leaving. They did my hair. They put enough spray and crap in my hair, you could have broken a baseball bat over my head. My hair was just so stiff and everything. And then, finally we get down there and get down to the set. And I'm walking through the set, and just imagine being in a mall where you're walking down, the mall, and you look around. Instead of looking into the record store, the clothing store, you're looking into Sirens nightclub, City Hall, all the different areas of Gotham were just there. And the set that we filmed in, it was, built on the set. It wasn't an actual, building, of course, but it was supposed to be Ed Nigma's library. And Ed Nigma's library had dozens and hundreds of old books. And I'll get to her in a minute. And all the books in the library were real. They weren't those fake books you see at IKEA. Every last one of them was real. And so we're lined up outside to come in, and beginning of the scene, I follow Oswald Cobblepot in, and I'm holding a tray. On the tray, it was actually real food. It wasn't prop food. They had some grapes. Then they had open tins of sardines and anchovies, because I guess that's what he would like. So I'm holding it about chest high.
Penguin. He's the penguin.
Yeah, he's a penguin.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Yeah.
And he's like 5'6". I'm 6'6". Okay, so he turned around to say something to somebody behind us, and he turns around. He's nose level with the tray, with a big tin of anchovies right in front of him. And he looks at me, he goes like, "Oh man!" And I kind of started laughing. He goes, "Do you eat this stuff?" And I said, "Well, once in a while, And we kind of laughed about that, and then did the scene. And again, these guys were just great to talk to. An interesting fact, he had a limp. And I just found out actually what he used to do. He actually used to keep a bottle cap in his shoe. And so he would always be limping. He would never forget the limp when he was on camera. He always had that limp, and that's what he did. He had a bottle cap in his shoe that would make him kind of walk gingerly that way. Ken Fink was the director, and Ken Fink was the director of a lot of Homicide episodes. I'm from Baltimore. Homicide is huge down here, even 30 years later. And I got talking to him a little bit. When I got shot, the stuntman had actually worked on a number of John Waters movies, and we were talking about Baltimore. So a lot of people were familiar. Well, actually, I started talking to some people on the set, and there was actually a lady who was in charge of costuming and hair and stuff like that. She goes, "All right, who's from Baltimore?" And she heard my accent, and she was actually from Baltimore too. I got talking to her as well. So we ended up shooting, and then when we would take a break, we were actually sitting in Sirens nightclub. That was where our downtime was spent. And really, really interesting how they had, the lighting and the setups and everything. They had it so, nothing was actually, they did have some places offset, but the way they were able to light things, they could make it look like morning, noon, or night just by the kind of light they would shine in the window on the set. Really, really interesting, all the things that they did. Some other interesting facts about it. Gotham, the word Gotham, actually, there is a town in England called Gotham, and what it means is goat herding village. Okay. Why not? I'd bring that up. Why not? I'd slide that in under the rug. Sean Pertwee, he played Alfred. His father was one of the Doctor Who's. If you guys follow Doctor Who, I don't know, but his father was one of the Doctor Who's. We had B.D. Wong played Doctor Strange. He was a regular on Law and Order SVU for many years. We had, Jada Pinkett Smith. He was already off the show by the time I got there, but I did see like a box of her stuff on a shelf right across from my dressing room. Like a bunch of her wigs and stuff like this were in a box with a piece of tape with her name on it. Carol Kane. I've been in 2 productions with Carol Kane and I've never met her. She was a regular. She played Oswald's mother a couple seasons earlier on Gotham, and we were in the Kimmy Schmidt movie together. Not in the same time. We didn't meet on set there either. But I've been with her twice. Of course, Paul Rubens. We were just talking about Paul Rubens played Oswald's father. in an earlier season.
And
And
He had-
also
we know
did
why,
in-
right?
Also did in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly why he was
Yep.
in Batman
Right.
Returns.
Typecast.
Yep.
Typecast.
Yeah, as a matter of
What's
fact,
new? He's like
Yep.
a penguin.
yeah,
Right,
and
right.
Robin Lord Taylor told me that he and Carol Kane were kind of instrumental in getting him to come on, getting him cast and everything. Let me see some other things here too. Robin Lord Taylor, we knew him as Oswald. He's also been on a show called You. He just did a really. He was on Law and Order not SVU, Organized Crime last season. Did a hell of a job. He played like a cyber criminal, and he was really good in it. Donald Logue, who played Harvey Bullock, he was a regular on SVU in Sons of Anarchy. A lot of other things too. I found out. Now, I've not been able to substantiate this. There's a lot of talk online, and the people that follow Gotham are just like the Star Trek crowd, Grateful Dead heads. I mean, to them, it's like a religion.
Wow.
And they absolutely love it. And they want, apparently, and I've not been able to substantiate this through any kind of articles, but there's a lot of talk online on Twitter and Reddit that there was originally supposed to be 7 episodes, but the show stopped in the middle of 5. And there were lots of reasons floating around out there as to why it happened, but none were really officially from the network or anything. A number of them were saying ratings. I mean, the ratings weren't terrible. They had been decreasing over the years, but
How many seasons was it?
it was 4 full seasons, and then the 5th
okay.
season was 12 episodes.
Okay.
So it was an even 100.
Oh,
They
that's the magic number, right?
yeah, I guess it was.
Is that the syndication magic number? Am I right, Jeff?
I think so, but I think with streaming these days, I'm not even sure.
Oh, who cares? You're right.
Yeah.
You could have 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right. I'm so old school.
Michael, Gotham is about James Gordon, right?
Yeah.
It's not about how much
Yeah.
does Bruce Wayne play into Gotham? Because he's not Batman, or maybe he is towards the end.
This is the time from it's mostly about Gordon. It's mostly about the rise of the criminals. Why Penguin is who he is, why Riddler is who he is. It takes place from the time Bruce Wayne's parents got shot through right before he becomes Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of grows up. The thing is that a lot of people, and I can understand them kind of being upset about it, is that the 5th season, it was almost like crammed in. That last season, especially the last episode, there was just a lot that just wasn't included. They kind of did the episodes, and then the end like skips 10 years in the future.
Right.
And, Penguin's all fat and everything by that time. And, they're all older, and, Batman is finally Batman. He's a young adult, but it was really more,
terrible costume. That costume was horrific.
Yeah.
All right. So do you recommend people find this and binge it? Is those 100 episodes worth diving into?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, the writing always got very, very good reviews. I think the reason it was taken off was, various business reasons. Again, from what I was able to find out, the ratings were not terrible. They were decreasing a little bit, but they were just as good, if not better, than anything else out there. The show was solid. They didn't jump the shark or anything like that, or it didn't decline in quality. And so, I really hope that something happens with it. It would be nice for me because I only got to die once, and everybody else got to die like 4 times. So I still have 3 more deaths and another 2.5 seasons.
What episode do you die in?
Season 5, episode 8.
Okay.
All right.
Season 5, episode 8.
I think we all can get behind you dying at least 3 more times.
Yes, exactly.
So, all right, that was good. Nice job for your first
Thank you,
time on the show.
I'm
Well
a
done.
huge fan of the show. I think it's fabulous. I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I love
You guys kept saying Oh, go ahead, Larry. What?
I just got to say, I'm a huge Bat fan. And honestly, if you looked outside the camera angle here on the screen, my studio is literally a Bat cave. There's Bat everything around me, but I have to be professional on camera most of the time. So I keep all my Bat toys. I've got every Lego. I've got everything you can imagine. Oh, look. And my house is also on a timer and my lights go off at 9 o'clock. So
let me turn my light on for you.
But
does that help?
We need the bat signals.
Can you see now?
I start to, but anyway,
clapper. You need
there
the
you
clapper.
Well, I've got the app, so I just had to go turn it back on the app. There.
Wow.
Why does your lights go off at 9 p.m.?
They go off at 9. It's night time, guys. This is past my
Time
bedtime.
to take the hat off.
Oh my goodness. So
anyways, I love the show.
It's your birthday.
It is my birthday. I love Gotham. I thought it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun seeing everybody. So congratulations, Michael, on being a part of that amazing show.
That is very cool.
And hopefully something will happen with it. So
that is really
great review and great insight there.
Show.
I really appreciate it.
Huge fan of that show.
So you mentioned La Quinta a couple of times. There was a local comedian. He was on the Daily Show also, Michael Costa, and he was local to Michigan. He had this joke, La Quinta, what is that, Spanish for next to Denny's?
Yes. When I got there, it should have been Spanish for clogged toilet, but we won't get into that.
All right. Let's move on to the birthday boy. We're going to dive into a classic cartoon.
Well, Jeff, every time I've been on the show that I always dial it way back to the 80s. And what have I talked about? I've talked about Teen Wolf. I've talked about Ninja 3, The Domination. And I can't even remember the other movies because I've been on here so many times. But being that it's my birthday, I tend to like to dial it back a little bit further. I am 51 today. So it's always fun to dial it back and be a kid again. And G.I. Joe, the movie, came out in 1986. And we're already a few years into the whole G.I. Joe craze. And as a kid, man, my grandma took good care of me. I had all my Joes, all my Cobra, and all my Cobra tanks, and all my planes, and all that fun stuff. So I was a massive fan of this commercial that they called a cartoon, because let's be honest, that's exactly what it was a commercial to sell their toys. But this one, it really stands out because, and it's kind of funny because we've got some like separations of the penguin here, because before we get into the movie, one of the starring voices of this cartoon is none other than Burgess Meredith. So he is the voice of Globulus, the head bad guy in this whole flick. And if you don't know, Burgess Meredith played the Penguin in the 1960s Batman series. And now we have a little penguin attachment here from Gotham as well, and a little penguin from Paul Rubens. So Penguin is all through this episode of the streams. But in addition to Burgess Meredith, we've also got a couple of other really iconic voices of the 80s. Don Johnson plays an amazing character called Lieutenant Falcon, who happens to be the half-brother of Duke, the leader of G.I. Joe. And he's kind of got that whole Don Johnson ego to him, which ends up getting him in a little bit of trouble. But when Lieutenant Falcon does get in trouble, guess who's there to get him back into shape? None other than Sergeant Slaughter himself, WWF at the time superstar. He also stars in this amazing cartoon. And it all starts off, what makes it super, super cool is we get to see the history of Cobra. If you're not familiar with G.I. Joe, Cobra's the bad guys. They're a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. That's exactly how they introduce the cartoon each and every episode. And Cobra's there. They got some infighting going on because Cobra Commander, he's kind of a buffoon, and he's got his henchmen that are turning against him because they have this new genetically engineered leader called Serpentor, and he's got the DNA of all the greatest bad guys. Can you say greatest bad guys in history? He's got the DNA of Stalin and DNA of Hitler and DNA of all these really, really evil people that make him a really high quality evil bad guy, at least in their eyes. So they're fighting and they want to get rid of Cobra Commander and have this real leader. And in the meantime, G.I. Joe has this amazing new device called the BET, gastrointestinal. Yes, it does. Gastrointestinal, a real American hero. But they have this, they have the BET, which is a broadcast energy transmitter, and it's kind of like an EMP device. And Cobra wants this to take over. But little do they know that this whole civilization of Cobra people have awakened from underneath the crust of the earth, and they live in this place called Cobra La. And it's where Cobra originated. And they send one of their spies to help Cobra steal the BET from G.I. Joe. And this whole obvious massive battle ensues, and G.I. Joe has to fight Cobra under the new leadership of Golobulus, once again voiced by Burgess Meredith, and Cobra Commander and Serpentor all together. It's this massive force that's coming after G.I. Joe. So in order to battle this, they have to get some new recruits. We've got 5 new recruits that show up for G.I. Joe, and they have to go to this place called the Slaughterhouse to get trained. It's kind of like Navy SEAL training for G.I. Joes, but it's also an opportunity to introduce a little diversity into G.I. Joe. So we've got an Asian female that comes in there, but she's a jinx. We have an African-American basketball player, and of course he's throwing grenades like they're 3-pointers, and a lot of stereotypical diversity going on here, but it's interesting to see them introduced.
Gotta love the 80s.
100%.
That's solid 80s trying.
100%. You know, we were trying to be diverse. We were trying.
Oh, God.
But it was amazing to see this cartoon and see this diverse cast of characters come together, because without the diversity that they introduced in this movie, Cobra would have won and dominated the world. So thankfully to all these new recruits, G.I. Joe was able to come together, but not before Don Johnson, a.k.a. Lieutenant Falcon, brought a spy into G.I. Joe headquarters who happened to work for Cobra, and he was kind of strutting around and showing her around the place. And Cobra ends up breaking in and stealing some stuff from G.I. Joe because of Lieutenant Falcon's misuse of his power. So he gets sent off to be reformed by none other than, once again, Sergeant Slaughter. And he redeems himself by, when they're in the final battle, he's going up against Serpentor, the big leader himself. And Serpentor has these snakes that he can pull off of his shoulders and make spears out of. Normally, they're slithering around and being all slithery, snaky, but he can straighten them out and make them a spear. So they threw a spear at Lieutenant Falcon. And what happens? Duke, his brother, the leader of G.I. Joe, jumps in front just in time to take Lieutenant Falcon's spear to his own heart and sacrifices himself for his brother. And with the sacrifice in place, Lieutenant Falcon knows that it's up to him and these new recruits to destroy Cobra at their core. So they fight even harder. They try even harder. They go deeper into Cobra Law, and they end up wiping everybody out. And as soon as they win this final battle, we get a message back from base that says Duke has recovered from his coma. So thankfully, Duke took that spear for his brother, but he survived. Cobra's defeated, and G.I. Joe lived to fight another day.
So that's the whole story, right?
That's pretty much the whole story, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, now, spoiler alert.
That was amazing. Now I don't even have to see it, and I loved it.
No, but it's great.
Tell everyone about it.
I love the
Don
movie,
Johnson
man.
was amazing in Larry's version.
Don Johnson's really amazing in everything Don Johnson does, let's be honest. I mean,
Hank Garrett was in that as well.
Yeah.
He played
I'm not
Dial
following
Tone.
that, Jeff. I'm
Hank
not following that.
All right, I'll go next. I know. I try to always imitate Larry if I go after Larry. You gotta like somehow bring the energy.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. Hold on.
You can do it.
Yes, you got hats on the wall and everything.
Hold on. I'm gonna do it. All right.
There you go.
I can do this.
There you go. Looking good.
All right.
I got my notes.
All right, that was awesome.
I saw this show longer. No, actually not as long. Mine's in the 90s.
All right, let's switch over. That was awesome, birthday boy. Nice
Thank
job.
you so much.
All right, next let's oops, not that. Spoiler. All right, let's do it. It's the original Sex in the City, not the abomination that came back recently, which we can touch on in a second. But I also have seen this series because my wife is addicted to it. But take it away, Marcy. Every now and then, just pause and let's just say something uncharacteristically extremely clever that we would never really come up with in real life, but we can pretend we did. You know how they always go there? You know, like they say stuff and then Sarah Jessica Parker says the most clever thing in the world.
Yes. Jeff, it's my turn.
Yep, go.
Okay, so I'm going to do Sex in the City. So I have a hard time watching television in the summertime. I've said this week after week that I just don't get to watch a lot of TV during the warm weather because I'm outside drinking wine, looking at the stars. And I decided I needed to just start Sex in the City again. It came out in 1998, which is when I started watching it. Episode 1 with my girlfriends. We all were ready to see Sarah Jessica Parker's new show on HBO. And recently, like Jeff just talked about, they've come back recently with like 2022 with And Just Like That, which is the part 2. It's disappointing. I don't like it. It upsets me. I don't miss an episode. I have to watch it week by week. And every week I get angrier and angrier. And I just like literally, I throw shoes at my television. Not good. But Sex in the City is such a great, fun show. Once again, it started in 1998. There were 6 seasons starting Sarah Jessica Parker, who we all remember from Square Pegs. Remember? She was a nerd.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't realize she was going to be this gorgeous, like just fabulous woman with this hair and this body. She was in Footloose, where she was starting to like come about as being like kind of pretty. And then she was in Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which you guys have never heard of because only girls saw that back then. But she was starting to get like really fun. And Sex in the City was, of course, where Sarah Jessica Parker really made it. It wasn't Matthew Broderick that brought her to our fame. So Carrie Bradshaw is who she plays. She's a sex columnist for the New York Star. She writes a column called Sex in the City. Sex in the City is the name of her column. The show is Sex and the City. It has to be different. And literally, she has these 3 girlfriends. Samantha, who is the older, wiser, sexy, sex positive, by the way, which is not a word, not a term we heard back in the 90s, but a term we hear now. She was sex positive. She was like all about just having sex all the time, and sex was everything. And then her girlfriend, Miranda, who was kind of tomboyish, but was sexual and loved men, but we all kind of knew that she loved women, and in real life she loved women, and now she loves women on the new show because that's what the new show is about, is being more real, of being woke, which is fine, whatever. But then also then there's Charlotte, and Charlotte is our innocent, yet still very sexual. These women are having sex every week. And remember, this is a time when we watch shows weekly. We did not get to see 2 episodes in an hour. We saw 2 episodes in an hour if we recorded it on our VHS. If we knew how to do that, which I did, by the way. I recorded all of my shows. I knew how to record everything. So in any case, this show went 6 seasons starting in 1998. So we're going to say that it ended in, 2003, which is when I had my first baby. And now here I am again, 2023, starting it over. I talked about Entourage a couple months ago. I did this with Entourage. Unbelievable. Just as good as it was the first time. Forgot so much. So glad I watched it again with my 17-year-old who had never seen it. He was a baby when I was watching it. So good. I don't know why everyone's binge watching Friends. I love Friends. Binge watch these other classics. So Sex in the City, I'm doing this right now. The cameos. I just was like kind of watching and not paying attention. And I was like, wait a minute. Was that Bradley Cooper? Oh my God, I think that was Bradley Cooper. Rewind. I'm like, oh my God, it was Bradley Cooper. So then I've only been through a few seasons. So I had to like look through who else like is in this show throughout the 6 seasons that we all know. Okay, so John Livingston, Office Space. He is the famous Post-it note guy. He breaks up with Carrie Bradshaw on a Post-it note. It's very famous. Do these children even know what a Post-it note is? It's just a note in their phone. He broke up with her on a Post-it note instead of a text message because there's really no such thing as a text message. John Slattery from Mad Men. He was a big part of the show at a time. Will Arnett was with Miranda. What? Miranda? That's crazy. I have that to look forward to. Okay, so let's just get it out there. I'm not going to give the whole show away. It's literally about 4 women having sex in the city of New York from 1998 to 2003, and it's fabulous. The main character, Carrie Bradshaw, in fact, I was so surprised to see that the main guy character that she falls in love with, and has movies with and like marries and blah blah blah. Mr. Big. Mr. Big's the big one. Chris Noth.
Yep.
By the way, Chris Noth was canceled. We got to talk about that.
He
Chris
was
Noth
canceled.
was a bad boy. You can't be a bad boy. He was canceled. So they killed him on the Peloton, which I am a Peloton lover. I am a queen. I have the Peloton tread, the Peloton bike. I'm all in Peloton for years. And then he has a heart attack on the Peloton, and I was really pissed off. And then they canceled him. I was like, you know what? I believe whatever women say. Was he disgusting? Get rid of him. Okay, bye-bye. So anyway.
But it was good timing for them. They killed him off before just before he got canceled, so they didn't even have to deal with it after the fact. They had already kind of dealt with it.
So great. No, the only downfall they had was their entire show that was awful. What was it called again? And Just Like That, they took my favorite show and turned it into shit. That's just not good. And I'm glad that I'm going back and rewatching because it's so good. So I will also say that Sarah Jessica Parker did come back to HBO and do Divorce with Thomas Hayden Church from Wings. And it does not have good reviews, and I love that show too. I think that the show Divorce was awesome. It was short. I hope it comes back. I don't even know if it's on. Jeff, have you seen Divorce?
I think that it's probably not coming back. It's been years, I think.
It has been.
I think it was Thomas Hayden Church's mustache that got that show canceled.
They got rid of it eventually, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was it on HBO? I don't even know what that
show
was.
It was HBO. It was. Oh, yeah? It's still there. There's
I think and Just Like That was a ploy to make a show that everyone hate watches and to do then what you did, which is
go back and watch. Well, that's fucking genius. I like it because I've never heard the term hate watch, and I am hate watching. I will watch every episode that they produce. That awful, stupid show. If they go 10 seasons, I'll watch every episode, and I'll just keep flinging things at my TV. But I'm gonna watch it because I'm a Sex in the City diehard.
Oh,
we're in the season with the Russian, which I think is one of the last seasons, and like we went to New York the first time we went to New York. I think my wife and I. And Robin's obsessed with Sex in the City, really obsessed at the time. And I mean, we ate at Asia de Cuba, like every restaurant that they were eating at in Sex in the City.
You're a really nice husband, Jeff.
we went
and watched. Nice.
We went and watched. We went to all those restaurants. We actually sat in the same seat as Sarah Jessica Parker. And
was it a little bit for you too?
Oh, I enjoy watching. I like kind of couch watch it. I don't have to watch every episode, but I'll come in and I'll watch it.
No, I mean this whole trip you were on in New York, like sitting in all these places. Like,
but it was just a restaurant. To me, it was just a restaurant.
Oh, bring me my food. I don't care who sat
No, to me, it was a good restaurant. The fact that it was on Sex and the City, it was just how we found it. So, but
dude, I watched it religiously. Even as a dude in the 90s, and I was a wannabe super tough guy. I would watch Sex and the City. Then I'd go to the gym and train with my fight team because I was a kickboxer in the 90s. So I would get my little dose of lady TV, and then I'd go and fight it out. So, but I loved the show.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When Carrie cheated on Aiden, were you mad? Weren't you mad at her?
I was disappointed, but
I was big deal.
I was never a Carrie fan. I was never a fan of Carrie. I didn't care for Carrie. Okay?
Who were you a fan of?
God, why'd you ask me? Not Miranda and not
Charlotte.
Samantha. Charlotte, thank you.
Yes. Charlotte. Because I love
Charlotte.
Because Charlotte
still had sex every week, but you still.
But I wanted Samantha in the sheets, but Charlotte in the streets. That was really my ideal. That's what I was going for there. So, it just never quite worked out.
I love Kristen Davis from Melrose Place.
Melrose. You remember what happened to her?
Yep.
She ended up in the pool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually have that written down on my paper, Jeff. I love that you said that. She's from Melrose. And she fell in the pool, hit her head, and she never came back. But
I think in the new series, Seema, the character that kind of replaces Samantha Jones, Kim Cattrall, kind of points out that what a narcissist Carrie Bradshaw's character is. Mm-hmm. And if you really start to watch it with that in mind, you're like, yeah, she really does just kind of, it's always about her.
100%, dude. That's why I hated her. I hated her so much.
That. I didn't like the way Seema talked to her. I thought that was disrespectful. I didn't like that. That's interesting that you say that. I'm a team Carrie fan. I think Carrie's fine.
My
But
wife
she-
is too. So
Well, it's
Yeah.
even like there was a scene we just watched in the original where Samantha's going through her cancer, and is it Mikhail Brishnikov? Yeah, Mikhail Brishnikov.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
she says to him, "My friend has cancer," and he says, "My friend Sophia had cancer and died." And then Carrie's like, "Well, mine's not going to die," and she says, "Well, mine did," and she just couldn't handle.
Oh,
Like it was just like
Okay.
it was just like so one-sided. Like he clearly had his trauma
right.
that already ended horribly, but she
hilarious.
just needed him to go, "It's okay, your friend with cancer is going to be just fine." And like, but he couldn't because his context was completely that it could not be. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it was, it was just a lot
I
of
just
things.
want to mention one other thing because
Sure.
it's 2023, and I did watch this show in 1998, and Carrie Bradshaw smokes a Marlboro Light. Like I remember smoking a Marlboro Light when smoking was good for us. Do you guys remember when Marlboro Lights were like really good for us?
when it was good.
It wasn't until
She smoked
2004
much.
that they started doing the
Do you
cancer.
remember
stuff.
the last time you like shared a cigarette with someone and it was super sexy? Yeah, that hasn't happened in so many years. That
almost-
happens on Sex and the City all the time. And
Yep.
It's crazy. Just like Mad Men, I'm sure. But I think
Cool.
it's better than Mad Men.
All right, so we should check out Sex and the City.
I think you guys should watch Sex and the City.
All right,
Oh, I definitely think so too.
Michael,
real.
you got to watch Sex and the City.
I remember it
no.
from years ago. I mean, and like you guys were saying, the one episode that ticked me off was when Mr. Big showed up drunk at the cabin.
Yeah.
If I was that guy, and she like, oh, please let him stay in the cabin.
And she was with Aiden.
Yeah,
You were mad.
yeah. I was like,
We
if
were
that would have
all
been
mad.
me, I mean, if that would have been me, I would have been like, yeah, both of you can take your asses out of
Yeah.
here right
What
now.
about when
Right.
Mr. Big was married and Carrie was sleeping with him while she was married?
Yeah,
I mean, come
yeah.
on.
Mhm.
She was anyway. All right.
This is gonna spiral if we don't cut this off right
my
now.
wife's gonna hear us.
This is gonna turn into a
My
kidney
wife's gonna
bashing
hear me
session.
talking like this, and she'll be like,
Mhm.
"What?"
I'm trying to bite my tongue right now so
I
I don't
know.
get Marcy
All
mad
right.
at me.
All right, let's. I'm gonna cover Ahsoka, but I'm just. I'm gonna cover it lightly, just because we're in the middle of this run. So there's only 3 episodes out. This is the new Disney Plus Star Wars show. It's episode 3,
Oh,
just aired
okay.
yesterday. It's an 8-episode run. It's created and written by David Filoni, who is kind of the king of Star Wars right now. Like, there's George Lucas and then there's Dave Filoni. He created Rebels and all this stuff. So I'm coming from the point of view of Ahsoka as someone who has not seen the Clone War cartoons or any of the Rebels cartoons, which this is basically the next season of Rebels, but in live action. So Rosaria Dawson is Ahsoka Tano. You may recognize her from, she was in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. She's got those cool little things that are coming down from her head. And Rosario Dawson was in every Marvel TV show on Netflix as well. She's I think she's Queen of the Geeks, I think officially now, right? I mean, it must be, right? So for Star Wars fans, Ahsoka takes place after Return of the Jedi. So that's where it is in the kind of timeline. Ahsoka Tano, I don't think this is a spoiler, if you watch the cartoons, was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, a Padawan. So she learned the ways of the Force and was a Jedi under him. Now, this is all in cartoon. So this is now basically a live action extension of the cartoon. So they're bringing a lot of these cartoon characters to life. So if you read kind of the reviews, people either 5-star this thing or 3-star this thing, right? So it's very split on who's loving it and who's too caught up in, I shouldn't say it like that, leading the witness, too caught up in kind of like the cartoons in this, you know what I mean? So I don't have any of the backstory, right? And I'm watching with my wife and she clearly has less backstory than I would have as well. But I got to say, I'm enjoying it. and I understand that there's context that I'm missing, but I think the structure of the show is such, if you're a Star Wars fan but haven't watched all the cartoons, it's fine. They bring up characters, but they're eventually going to tell you what they are. You just don't know who they are immediately. Just like when you're watching anything and they kind of name drop someone that eventually you learn. Except there is a rich backstory here that if you know, fine, but it also may distract you and disrupt your feelings for the live action show because you have all these expectations built up. So no, I have none of these expectations built up, and I have none of the background of any of the cartoon series that leads up to this, and I am thoroughly enjoying this Star Wars. Context, Book of Boba Fett, didn't love. I didn't love it at all. Boba Fett is not Boba Fett if you take your helmet off for 90% of the time. The cool thing about Boba Fett is that helmet. It was funny. One of the characters, so it's Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano, and then you have Natasha Ali Bordizzo is Sabrine Wren. She's a character from Rebels. She was Ahsoka Tano's Mandalorian Padawan, so she's Mandalorian. So it's interesting when they're in the show, they're showing her room, and then under the desk is her Mandalorian helmet. And my wife goes, "Oh, is she a Boba Fett?" But I mean, at least she got the context, right? I mean, I thought that was fine. So she's a Mandalorian, and they're the two kind of good guys. And then there's Ivana Sakno, she's Shin, and Ray Stevenson is Balin Skoll. These are the Sith. So Balin, Ray Stevenson, who tragically died just a few months ago, and this is one of his last projects. So far, he's amazing, and I assume he'll continue to be so. But he was a Jedi, and now he's an evil. I don't know if he's an evil Jedi or a Sith per se, but he has strong use of the Force, and he's just not a good guy. And then there's another character named Hera, who's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who happens to, in real life, be married to Ewan Gregor. And then David Tennant, who was, I believe, a Doctor Who, is the voice of the robot, which is like the C-3PO character. So if you've seen and enjoyed Rebels, from what I understand, most people really love this show. It's kind of just an extension of that. You got the bad guys, you got the good guys. There's a clear plot. They're looking for this overarching evil bad guy who's like the new Darth Vader-y type person, I would assume. I don't mean he looks like Darth Vader, but the main bad guy, because Darth Vader at this point would be dead. And so, well, he would be, right? Because after Return of the Jedi.
Dead.
Yeah, dead. So there's a clear plot. They're trying to there's some Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes in the first episode. There's some cool episode 4 vibes in the early episodes as well. And it's kind of being led by Dave Filoni that I mentioned earlier, who's really kind of the master Star Wars guy at this point in terms of the lore and everything. He worked very closely with Jon Favreau on the original Mandalorian, and so there's a lot there to love. So I recommend kind of catching up with it and watching it. If you've watched the cartoons, great. If you haven't,
your password.
What's my password?
You can't do that.
I don't have Disney. It's the
live.
one I don't have.
We can't do that here.
Disney's a good one to get. You can watch the Muppet movies as well, and The Simpsons.
I do love a good Muppet movie.
Yeah.
And The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Simpsons are all on there.
I'm sold.
So anyway, go watch Ahsoka, catch up. It's odd in the sense that it's one of those series where it's as long as the episode needs to be. So like the first one's like an hour, the second one's like 46 minutes, and then the third one's like 36 minutes. And that's probably, you subtract credits from 36 minutes, it's 15-minute show. So
in animation. Is it animation?
Yeah, really.
No, this is live action.
Oh, okay.
But I think all these shows are hit or miss, whether it be Marvel or all the Star Wars stuff. They're pumping out so much content, but this one so far, I am enjoying.
So Jeff, on a scale of like Loki to She-Hulk, where does it fall?
Is Loki your 10 and She-Hulk your 1?
Yeah, Loki would
Yeah.
be the 10, and She-Hulk would be a negative 20.
Oh,
I'd put it closer to Loki.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because honestly, and I listen to a lot of reviews. Yours is the first positive review I've heard of this show. So it's going to be interesting. I may have to try it just based on your recommendation because I've
I
avoided.
was
it
going to
like
watch
the plague.
it until Larry said that.
I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade here. I'm just saying that
I don't even have a username.
I'm a
in
super freaking nerd, and I watch a lot of videos that review these shows, and this is the first positive review I've heard of Ahsoka. So maybe I need to give it a
like
shot.
I said,
I love Rosario Dawson. I think she's amazing.
Like I said though, I have no context. I have no expectation. It doesn't have to meet any bar to me. I'm enjoying it as is. You know what I mean? So from that point of view is where I'm coming from. So, I can't speak to someone who, Tim Basiegel would, understands all of those cartoons and everything like that, and has watched all those series.
And it's
may
putting
have
it
a different
against
opinion.
every single.
Yeah, may have a different opinion because he's like, oh, that's not how she would act. Or this
Right.
is not that.
I got you. Okay.
So, but I don't have that. I don't come with that luggage. I got no
appreciate
luggage.
that.
This is
I
a no
appreciate that.
luggage review of Ahsoka. No baggage. I guess the term is baggage. I've now changed it. The term is now I got
Luggage.
no luggage.
Yeah.
Does that guy come with luggage?
Man, I've been in some relationships where they brought a lot of luggage. I can tell you that. So.
This is a Spirit airline. Do not bring luggage.
So, all right. So that's that. So, I have one quick story if you want.
I want to hear a
So
story.
I go to Denver. Larry and I are in podcast movement in Denver. And Thursday I'm coming home. So I have an 11:30. My flight gets delayed. So I stay a little bit longer at the conference. And then I go to the airport. And then in Detroit, there was massive rain. And so if you look up the Detroit airport on last Thursday,
the
it was
flood.
like basically mayhem, mayhem.
Shut
like
down.
it was shut down. It was flooding. So people couldn't get in. They couldn't get out. And of course, in typical airline fashion, they can't just make a call. They have to move the goal line and then keep moving it, So they're like 1:00. I'm like, ugh. So they did let the plane come back. So they made the decision because the weather wasn't going to hold them back. The plane comes and they're like, okay, problem though, it landed, but the pilot's timed out. So we don't have a pilot. And then they're like, oh, all right. So here's $15. So I go to eat something. And while I'm eating, while I've ordered, I get a thing on my phone, canceled. They just can't. Oh, no, they bumped it to 4 p.m. And then I go to eat and then they cancel it. Now it's like 2:00 and it's canceled. And so I had to get my food. I go get my food. I go back in line. I'm waiting this long line just to see what my options are. I get to the front of the line. I was literally at the end of the line. I get to the front of the line and the first thing she says is, we can, I said, what's my options? She goes, well, we can give you a hotel. And the second she said that, my whole attitude changed. I became the nicest guy in the world. I'm like, oh, okay. So we rebooked you on the 5 a.m. flight the next day, and we're going to give you $30 more in food, and we'll give you this. And I'm being like just charming guy at this point because they're just giving you everything that and usually have to fight for. And then she puts me first class too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I ended up coming home
You
first
finally
class.
became famous.
Finally. So that was it. I just had to kind of share that real quick for no reason.
Yeah, first class Jeff. That's amazing.
So anyway, Michael, remind
Yes, sir.
everyone where they can find you on the on your high school radio.
Well,
Should have done the Christian Slater movie. What was that? Pump Up the Volume? That's what.
Yeah.
you should have done, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is better than Heather.
Were you in? That is like one of my favorite movies ever. Were you in that?
oh, me? No.
Oh, no.
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
No. So 97underground.com, more than just a high school radio station. It started from
No,
a high
I get
school
it.
radio
Tell him,
station.
Michael.
Yeah. 97underground.com, the back of the rack, the Michael Spedden Show, 4 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. We can hear classics that never die, songs you forgot you liked, local and unsigned bands as well. I play it all. And foulplayersradio.com, Foul Players Radio on YouTube. You can also see me Gotham, season 5, episode 8. You can see me in the old J.G. Wentworth bus opera commercials as the Viking. You can see me in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Kimmy versus the Reverend, the bartender in the Leonard Skinner bar, and on a whole bunch of ID Discovery shows where they shoot me from the back or from the neck down. And you can see me in all of those places. Also, The Lachrymose Primrose is a movie coming out later this year that I'm in too. So
Amazing.
all of those places.
97underground.com.
Awesome.
Everyone check it out.
Yep.
And awesome. Larry Roberts.
Yeah. Well, once
That
again,
birthday
Larry Roberts.
boy. We
The
should
birthday
sing,
boy.
Happy birthday.
Happy
to you.
birthday.
That's it. I
That's
thought
it.
we just
That's
get one.
all.
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
I was in for the whole song, guys. I was like
We already
excited.
sang. We're
I
done
forgot
it's
the
singing.
fine.
words.
It's fine. I may not see another one. I'm fucking
Such a
51.
horrible song.
These
The
things
worst
are
one.
these things are rare these days. Once you hit this age, you count everyone as much as you can. But Larry Roberts, I own Red Hat Media. You can find me at redhatmedia.io. You can also find me, Michael, not to one up you, buddy, but you can find me on Walker, Texas Ranger, the Son of Thunder episode where we were transitioning over to the new Ranger. Was an extra there. And also, if you really want to dial it back, you can find me in that 1977 classic starring David Carradine called, what was it? Bound for Glory. I have a nice little cameo. I'm about 4 years old, and I'm fighting my cousin outside of our little tent in a shanty town there in Stockton, California. So, yeah, check me out there, guys. Look me up.
All right. And Marcy?
You can find me in the West Bloomfield High School yearbook in 1989 on page 73. And you can also find me, on Crossing the Streams every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. And tonight was a really fun show, you guys. It was a blast meeting you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice
Super
to meet you
fun.
too.
It was so fun. So thank
Fun.
you.
And I'm Jeff Dwoskin. You may recognize me from Laughs, the Fox TV show, where I did stand up for one episode, or my turn in the Detroit International Comedy Festival movie from 2010, which got me my IMDb credit.
I have an IMDb credit. I should talk about that.
You didn't pick up on that theme, Marcy?
I'm going to do that next week. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Great meeting, everybody. Amazing episode. Thank you for having
Bye,
me.
you
I
guys.
appreciate
Happy
it.
birthday, Larry.
Fun.
And that has
And-
been another.
There we go.
Oh,
I don't know
And that
what's
has
going
been
on.
another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts,
Classic Conversations and the Sal and Bob Show.
check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.